Okay, in this lesson we're going to talk about how to rewrite equations so that y is a function of x. If you look at those words, y is a function of x, and we just kind of translate it. Right? Y and then is means equals. And so when we rewrite something so y is a function of x, what we're going to do is make it be y equals, and then on this side it would be an expression that contains x. So we're going to rewrite this 5x plus 2y equals 30 so that it says y equals, and then the right side or the other side of the equation would just be some expression, and that expression is going to contain the letter x. So basically what we're going to do is solve for y. Now what I'm going to do first though is I'm going to take this equation, I'm going to rewrite it, and I'm going to show you how to solve for y quick, just like we've solved for equations before. Now if I change the 5x to the number 18, I would have 18 plus 2y is equal to 30. Now if I go through and solve this equation, solving it for y, I would first subtract 18 from both sides. And the left side would just be 2y. And the right side, I have 30 minus 18, which I can go ahead and subtract that, and I get 12. And then I'm going to divide by 2 on both sides. And I'm going to get that y is 6. And I just took and I just solved for y. Now on the one that we have here, though, I have not 18, but 5x. Well, we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did over there. Okay, although on the right here we first subtracted the 18, which was the term other than the y term. This time I'm going to subtract 5x, which is the term other than the y term. So I take 5x from the left side and I take it from the right. So our second lines are identical outside the fact that I have 5x now instead of 18. On the third line I still have 2y on the left, just like I do on the other equation. The difference, though, where I was writing it in green with 18, I actually can do 30 minus 18, that's 12. Well, here I have 30 minus 5x. That's already simplified. These two terms aren't like, so I have to leave that just the same. Then I'll move on and divide by 2 on both sides, just like I did over there. But I have two terms, so I have to take both terms and divide by 2. And so then I get y equals, and then now, it's a little bit tougher. You have 30 minus 5x instead of the number 12. When it was just the number 12, I divided by 2 and got 6. This time I have to take each individual term and divide it by 2. So 30 divided by 2 would be 15. And then 5 divided by 2, I would write 5 halves x, or I could write 2.5x or 2.5x. But that's my answer. If you look at what I wrote there, I've got y equals, and then I have an expression that contains x. And my expression that contains x is 15 minus 5 halves x. And that's all there is to it to rewrite it so that y is a function of x. We're basically just solving for y. I have a few more examples to go through. We'll just work through them. So here's another one where I have y over 8 minus 5x, and that's equal to negative 3. Now we just are going to do the same thing we did on the previous one. We have to take the term that's not the y term and move it to the other side. In this case, I would add 5x, and that's going to be equal to negative 3 plus 5x. So again, all I'm really doing is taking this term right here and bringing it over to that side. When you simplify the left, you get y over 8. On the right, you can't get any simpler than negative 3 plus 5x. And so then on the next line, you're going to multiply by 8. On the right side, though, there are two terms. So when I go to multiply by 8, I need to make sure that I put my two terms in parentheses. This is a potential mistake. And I need to make sure I remember to distribute that 8. So I would have y on the left. 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. 8 times 5x is 40x. And you get negative 24 plus 40x. And again, solved it for y, it's y equals, and I have another expression that contains x. Okay, now on the next one, remember we're rewriting it so that y is a function of x. There's my y term right there. So that's what I'm going to be trying to solve for that y. This 8's going to have to go over there, and this negative 2x is going to have to go over there. And so to do that, to get the 8 over, I'm going to have to subtract 8. So I have 6x minus 17, and then I have to subtract 8 to get that over there. The negative 2x, I would have to add 2x to get that over here. And then that's equal to 8 minus 2x plus 3y, and then minus 8 and plus 2x. And I'm showing all the steps. So on the left-hand side, when you simplify things, the 6x and 2x make 8x, the negative 17 and negative 8 make negative 25. Over there, the 8's are going to cancel, the 2x's are going to cancel, and you're going to have just 3y. So now to solve for y, you're going to divide by 3. You have two terms again, so you have to make sure you divide both terms by 3. And that's going to give us y. And you get 8/3 x, or 2 2/3 x, minus 8 1/3. Generally, what I'm going to be doing is leaving the coefficient of x as an improper fraction and the constant as a mixed number. And that's just in preparation for the next unit when we start writing things in slope-intercept form. What you're going to find out is pretty much what we're doing. We're not calling it that yet. Okay, last example. And on this one, you have to simplify first, like you always do whenever you have an equation. So I have 8x minus 10y, and that's equal to negative 3x minus 12y. And now it's just a matter of manipulating. Okay, I've got y's on both sides, I've got x's on both sides. So I'm going to move the y that's smallest, so that's this one. And that means I got to take this 8x over there because I have to get all the y's on one side, all the x's on the other. So if I write out the step that shows all what I'm doing here, 8x minus 10y, I'm moving the 8x, so that's minus 8x. I'm bringing the 12y over, so oops, that's plus 12y. Then on the other side, I had negative 3x minus 12y. Again, the minus 8x and the plus 12y were the two things that we did. My equal sign down. Okay, the 8x, those two cancel out. You have 2y. And over here, the 12y's cancel out, and you have negative 11x. And to solve for y, we just would divide by 2. But this time, there's only one term. So you just divide it by 2, and you're going to get that y is equal to negative 11 halves x. And again, you can have negative 5.5x or negative 5.5x. So every one of these, all we're doing is you're writing it so that y is an expression that contains x. So number one, I got down to y equals, and there's my expression that contains x. 15 minus 5 halves, x. I just moved every term that wasn't a y to the opposite side, and then multiply or divide at the end. Same thing on this one. Every term that wasn't a y went to the right. This time you multiplied by 8. Remember to distribute because I had multiple terms on the right. And on this one, I had to bring my constant and my x. Again, I'm taking every term that's not a y and taking it to the opposite side of the equation. So you left with 3y where it was, moved the other two terms, simplified things, divided at the end. I got y equals, again, an expression that contains x. On the last one I simplified first, and then I got all the y's onto one side. And this one we had y's on both, so you got to get all the y's to one side, because that's what we're solving for. Everything else goes to the other side. In this case, all it was were x terms, and you just solve for y. That's it.